welcome to this episode of Pardon Our French podcast in partnership with Coppercock Distillery. I'm Vanessa.
I am Stephanie.
And today we're going to discuss community. January is definitely a month where you should foster your community.
Yeah.
And Steph, you've been doing that all week, haven't you? You've been really testing the limits of your community.
I have, and myself and my sanity this week. So if you don't know, I live quite rural in the Charente. The nearest shop to me is a little spa 10 kilometres away. Doesn't sound that far. But when you haven't got a car or both your cars have broken, it's quite a long walk. And then when you carry stuff back, it gets quite heavy. So I have two cars, a 4x4 and a little mini. And the clutch on the 4x4 went 3 times within 2 months.
Yeah.
So that's been in the garage, in my garage, just on my above my pit, waiting to be looked at again. So I had a backup, a little Mini Cooper. And I thought I was being quite clever on Sunday and popping to Barbecue, which is about a 30-minute drive from here. And I got to a place called Condion, 20 minutes away. And all of a sudden, and it was freezing. I mean, it's been like -9 on an evening. And it was about -7 when I was out and about. And I could see all this steam, all the smoke coming out in the back of the exhaust. And I was like, oh my God, is this because like it's warm and it's hitting the cold air?
Yeah.
It's producing all this steam. And I was looking at other cars that were driving past me. It was about 5:30 at night. And I was like, well, theirs aren't doing that. And then all of a sudden, I looked at the temperature gauge.
Yeah.
And it was on red. It was on the top,
Full blast.
full blast. And I was like, well, this isn't great. And then the sting started coming from underneath the bonnet.
Yeah.
So I managed to find a place to pull over and lifted up the bonnet, and it's just gone.
Yeah.
All of this steam everywhere. And I've obviously got Carter with me. And I'm like, okay, don't panic. It's still quite light. I've got water in bottles in the boot of the car.
Yeah.
It's obviously just low on water. So I've taken the cap off, filled up the water, squeeze the hose to make sure there's no air bubbles and stuff in there. And I thought, right, I can get back home on this. And then the car started fine. Once it had cooled down, we sat there for a little bit, cooled down, and then we got about 2 minutes driving down the road, and the same thing happened.
Yeah.
So I pulled over, did more water, couldn't see any leaks from underneath the car. Did your normal?
Teaching its way out.
Yeah. But it wasn't like catastrophic in the sense of it just dropped all this water over to the right. And then I got another 2 minutes down the road. It went again. So I pulled over and phoned Lawrence, which is my friend Natalie, who's been on the podcast.
Yeah.
Her husband, who knows a lot about cars. And he was like, you just keep dropping water. Just keep filling it up, keep filling it up. And I was doing that. And then I was down to like, a quarter of a litre of water. And I was like, and I'd already done about 8 litres of water. I was like, this is not going to get me home.
No.
And bless his little cottons, by this point, it was about 6:30, getting dark, and it was freezing on Sunday, just gone. And he came out, he looked at it, and he was like, and he bought a big, like, arming, what do you call it, like for water. You know, like the big green carrier things, full of water. So he was topping up all the water, couldn't see any leaks. By this point, we're with like a torch and a mobile phone light looking, couldn't see any leaks. Stupidly enough, I then realised, I didn't have a torch in my car. I've got a first aid kit, but I didn't have a reliable torch
Other than
my phone.
Yeah.
My phone battery, after I'd phoned Lawrence, had dropped to 4%. And it was just about to die. Carter had luckily had his phone with me, which I'd then programmed Lawrence's phone into in case I got stuck.
Yeah.
So then at that point, I realised I was so unequipped for a breakdown or an emergency and how stupid I have been. So top tip, first aid kit, extra water for drinking and for your car.
Yeah.
And a really good torch, and any breakdown cover you've got, have them written rather than just on your phone.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lawrence came out, topped up the water. We got another half a kilometre, and then all of a sudden, the temperature gauge went straight back up. All this steam. He lifted the bonnet, and it was just pissing out water everywhere. And then all of a sudden, the flood of coolant and water was coming out from under the car.
Yeah.
He's like, "You have to abandon this car."
Yeah.
And I was still a good 15-minute drive from home.
Yeah.
By this point, it's so cold. There was condensation inside the car windscreen because it was so cold. I couldn't see where I was to try and find a lay-by. Lawrence went off, bless him, and found a lay-by that then came back to me and said, "You need to follow me."
Yeah.
Followed him. We literally dumped this car, and he kindly gave me a car to lift home. So it turned into like a 3-hour drama by the time we got home. And then I was like, I need to rescue this car. I can't leave it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like a proper tow truck costs like 300 quid or something yearly. And you just think, how am I going to get this?
And then that is when the whole community thought process, I was like, Lawrence is busy at work. I don't want to ask him to keep saving me.
Yeah.
I need to sort this on my own. And I was like, I know there's a guy in Chalet that can do tow recovery. My dad actually went around and spoke to Fabrice. Big shout out to Fabrice and his wife Leslie. Because Fabrice literally was like, I'll go get it. So the next morning on Monday, I couldn't get Carter to school without any vehicles. So he went and actually managed. The car had cooled down so much during the evening, that he managed to fill it up with water, and he actually managed to drive it back home.
Oh, wow.
And actually, just seeing the car back on the driveway, I was like, that was a big pressure release. And he looked at the car, and actually, initially, they thought that the radiator was leaking, which is causing it to overheat, and that was the problem. And the sealant from the hose to the radiator was a bit dodged. They thought that was a problem. So initially I was like, this is just sealant.
Yeah.
So they went out and bought the sealant and then looked at it again, went, this is not even going to be a temporary fix. We need a new radiator. Fabrice used his local connections to phone up breakers yards. He took all the measurements of the radiator. They tested a radiator and they were like, you can come all the way to Le Bourne.
Wow.
So near Bordeaux to come and get this radiator, which we planned to do. But as they were looking at the car and filling it with water and running it again, they were like, no, there's another issue here.
What a pump.
Oh. And then they finally diagnosed it as the water pump.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, how much is it? I mean, I'm not a mechanic. I don't know much about cars. I can describe quite well what happens when it goes wrong. That's I could diagnose the problem. But in the end, Fabrice did lots of phone calls for me, and he managed to find a mobile mechanic that's based in Bly, which again near Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Who said to me, if I order all the parts, so the clutch, the slave cylinder for the Kia, and then the water pump for the Mini, he'll come up this Sunday
and do it
and do both cars for. So I just paying him for the labour. Yeah, I'd obviously had to pay for the parts. So about €600 to fix both cars. But I'm like, cars in France are so expensive, and I feel that they get a lot of wear and tear from the roads, the bends. I also need to put new tyres on the Mini. Yeah. And that's the second step of new tyres within a year. Yeah. This is now my fifth car in 5 years. So if you are moving to France, things to really consider are the prices of cars here. They are probably 3 to 4 times the price of cars in the UK. Yeah. Lots of people think, because then I thought, well, do I just buy a car from England
import it.
which I did with the Range Rover when I initially moved it.
Yeah.
I mean, to import it wasn't that bad. It was about €700 to pay for the tax to import the Range Rover, which is good on that kind of car.
Mm.
But that was when I did it initially,
Yeah.
before Brexit. So trying to do that again.
Now he's gonna pay that, and you have to pay like an environmental charge on it.
Yeah.
We did. So we imported Simon's BMW because he couldn't find one here, and it did end up still working out to be less than it would have been if he bought one here.
Right.
But it is right-hand drive.
Yeah.
That means that anytime you want to get parts, you also have to get your parts from the UK because there is a difference. Surprisingly enough, a lot of stuff is interchangeable, but a lot of stuff isn't.
Yeah.
And we paid somebody to do it because we weren't confident to do it. It's really difficult. The vehicle thing out here is really difficult, I think.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of cars since I've moved here. We've sold them all. They were still in running condition and stuff. But every time we buy a car, we're like, oh, we'll just drive this one until
it dies.
But then you end up in a situation where you need that car and you end up having to fix it because you don't have any alternative.
I literally think, and that was it. I was like, I can't go and buy a 10 grand, 20 grand reliable, lovely car at this moment in time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to invest the money that I put aside for something else in fixing these cars.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this podcast was to talk about community, because Fabrice's wife took me food shopping because I'd run out of milk, bread, eggs, the bare essentials. So actually, note to myself was keeping my cupboards stocked with tinned like beans and chickpeas, lentils, things like that. Yeah, I could just pull out
if you get stuck.
If I get stuck, keeping my freezer stocked with good produce, and then if you need to, keep the long life milk in your cupboards, because I always only use fresh milk.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, I had at some point stocked up. Yeah.
I think part of it as well is like there was snow this week. I mean, that's why we didn't record on Tuesday. That's why I'm here now. But it's the same kind of thing. So I grew up in a place where you have that like risk of catastrophic things happening, like earthquakes and tsunamis, and getting trapped in your home is like a common issue where I grew up. I grew up in the woods. If a tree falls down across the road, it's a big tree. It's like bigger than your truck. So you are stuck until someone can clear that. So I've always, we always were taught, like, have a bag of rice and a bag of dried beans or whatever. If you get stutter, you can eat these things. But you do tend to have that, like, okay, well, if I am stuck inside for 2 days, I've got always something to survive off of. Yeah, and like the year I moved here, there was snow and people were trapped inside for 8 days.
Wow.
And they actually had they have a community resource where farmers were taking in tractors, taking food and drink to elderly people. They had a community they were bringing in bags of groceries because they were trapped inside and stuff, which I think is really wonderful. But yeah, the community out here we do rally for each other, I think.
Really important to feed as much as you can into and invest time and care into your community, because like me, that I have been doing that for years, and that moment on Sunday, it paid me back.
Yeah.
And actually the many days following of like, where do I source parts from? Who can I find to come to my house and fix the car? Because I can't get the car towed anywhere. I can't, get somebody and spend thousands on a garage coming to collect it. And if it wasn't for Natalie then taking me to one of my other friends who has kindly loaned me their car, for as long as I need to, to get my 2 cars back on the road. I literally wouldn't have been able to get Carter to school and get any food shopping. And where I am so rural, it's not like I can just get an online Tesco's or Asda delivery. So if you are living here or considering moving to rural France, it's great. It's wonderful, but you have to have plans in place, backup plans, and then backup plans for those plans. But again, the heart of me being able to solve, well, they're not even solved problems yet. I'm hopefully someday. Those issues were because of Fabrice's connections. I mean, he's French. He has so many more local connections to skilled people than I do. I have lots of social connections. From doing the podcast, from the community events and things that we've done. And even if I know somebody, they might not physically know a mechanic, but one of their connections can know a mechanic, you know? So you have to really invest time and care and consideration into your community, because there will become a time, guarantee you there will come a time that you need some assistance yourself. And because you've showed up, they will show up for you. So please never think that you can just move to rural France or any other country and just isolate yourself and cope by yourself. And I couldn't be more grateful. So shout out to Lawrence and Natalie, John and Vicky, Fabrice and Leslie and Vanessa for showing up. Because what blows my mind, Vanessa, is I had a good social life in England before, but I had better resources and everything was more close by. If I struggled with my car, I could walk Carter to school. I could walk to Tesco's. All of those things were logistically quite easily solved. And I didn't have to rely on my community for that kind of support. It was more fun, social. My mum lived around the corner. My dad lived up the road. My cousin was around the corner. But when you move to a country, any country, and you don't know anybody, when things like this happen, I literally am so grateful that I never knew these people before I met here, yet they literally have saved me. And that is such an experience that you will only find when you move country. When shit gets really tough, who shows up for you? Question yourself. And actually, I would put another thing, caveat on that, and say, if this kind of crisis has happened and you have moved country, and you're in a really terrible situation and you can't get help, question yourself why you can't get help. Because that tells me that you haven't invested in your community, that you haven't showed up for other people. So you can't be shocked when they don't show up for you.
I mean, that's the expat community. There is a lot of solidarity as well. I mean, Fabrice and his wife are not expats. They're French, which is even more helpful, even more great. Because when I was like, have resources that we've never even heard of.
That he literally saved my shit, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. But it only brings home to me how much more work I have to do on my community to support, to help, to provide, to share.
And like fostering a good relationship with your neighbors. I mean, you did say that one of the reasons you kind of picked a place where you had neighbors was if anything happened, like Carter could run to the neighbors and get help. And
you can. You trusted. They're honest, good, reliable people. I think community is knowledge, because there will be somebody that has experienced the problem that you're going through before, and they can tell you the quickest, easiest, less stressful way from getting to A to B. And Fabrice is very obviously French, but he doesn't catastrophize. He stays very grounded. He's very logical. So he never panics in a situation where the mother in me is like, shit, I
such a blood to school. Like, I do think it is like a masculine response. Like, women are thinking about many things at once. And so we have that cascade effect, don't we? Or like something goes wrong, that means that's gonna be affected, and that's gonna knock on effect. Yeah. Whereas men are like, oh, just deal with the problem in front of me because I think of nothing else.
So that is the key. And
it does take time. I mean, Simon's the same. I am a worrier, and he's always like, what's the point in worrying? And I'm like, I know there's no point to it.
Yeah.
But I can't help myself from doing it. I think like, well, if that goes wrong, then that's gonna happen. I mean, he's like, why would you worry?
Why should you tell? Yeah, I guess our 5 problems instead of doing it with the blunt. Yeah, but when you can predict things, like I can predict when Carter's going to be hungry. You know what I mean? And then when I need to go food shopping, what things I have to have in, and then when that is cut, I'm like, oh my god. So when we broke down on the Sunday, he hadn't eaten yet, and it's 5:30, which is past the point I needed to feed that kid.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, how long am I going to be stranded for? And I don't have resources or snacks or anything in my car. By the time I got home, snacks in the car. By the time I got home, he was like, and my head was so blown. I only had time, like the energy to do like egg and bacon on toast, and he was ramming that down. He was so hungry, he was ramming it down, and I was like, oh my god. So things can work out.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just holding on to everything is temporary. You will find a solution.
Yeah.
And I am a real positive, not worry, take action kind of person.
Yeah.
But in the last 4 days, it really hit home about having resources in place and actually asking for help, because that is one thing I am terrible at doing. I like to just crack on and get where I'm going. And I don't like to feel like I'm asking people for help. I'm so happy. And I'm the first person to offer help, or if somebody else's kids can't get to school, I'm there. I hate to do anything.
Yeah.
But I don't like asking for help.
No.
And then I had to. And I was like, not my pride or my ego, but my insecurity is really taking a hit here, because I have to reach out and go, could you take me to, is there any chance?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, Steph, this is a challenge, but I rose to it. Maybe consider, what can you offer your community? What do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
So I really thought about this, because then I had that moment of, oh my god, like I'm really embarrassed people are helping me, and I'm not paying them for their service or their help, and it's like, and I don't like that. I give my time for free, no questions asked, never think about that again. But I think about it when other people help me. I'm like, can I pay you? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, let me give you money for fuel. And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, now I feel like I'm taking the piss. But then they actually are like, Steph, you always show up for me. You're that person that always answers their phone when I need to talk, or you make you just bring an energy of happiness or positivity. And I'm like, oh, okay, and then it clicked for me. I was like, that's what I bring to the table, because I'm terrible at like fixing anything, or DIY, or painting and decorating, or food shopping.
Oh, you're pretty good at painting, You're pretty good at it. Oh, you're good at decorating. Well, I think
a nice bar.
I think it is. It's very much your energy, isn't it? It's like if somebody needs to pick me up, or if I need somebody that I know is going to make me like have a good time or laugh or whatever, it's like, I know I can hit you up. And it's also hard to be that person, because if you're having a rough time, I could see it. I could hear it in your voice, because you were struggling this week, and it's like, if you are that energy for people, then you feel guilty for not feeling that way all the time. It's like, where you're still a real person. It's okay for you to struggle, and it's all right that other people can look after you. And you're learning, aren't you? Because when you first moved out here, you would never have asked for anything from anyone. I mean, you and I definitely have made a big push to build our community this year, and I
was so proud of that. And in those moments, when I was having like, oh my god, I was like, do you know what? I couldn't be happier and prouder of what we've achieved in 2025 for our community. because it has bonded people, not just socially, but connections.
Yeah.
We've helped loneliness. We've helped in so many ways. And so after this experience, 2026 for our podcast events is going to be even more imperative and important, and that emotional connection for me. And going to an event at a local venue and hearing great local music is something A, to look forward to, B, to enjoy when you're there, and C, something to have memories.
Yeah, you build
to hold on to.
building all of that up. And the we are it's a small community in real terms. You see the same people often when you go out and you start to recognize each other. Like I had a really lovely experience on, I don't know if I told you this already. I had a really lovely experience on New Year's where
No.
I was dancing because that's what I do.
Yeah,
I just dance. Um, and I was like the only person dancing.
of course.
And this woman kind of came up to me, and I thought, oh, she's on her way to the toilets because like you had to walk past the band to get outside to go to where the toilets are in the Khalees. And she comes up and she goes, I'll dance if you will. And I was like, yeah, I'm in it to win it. So we were just dancing for a while. And she said, oh, do you live out here? I says, yeah, I do. She says, oh, we've just got a second home. I says, well, it's a bit of a shame to get caught out here for New Year's when it's not like being in the UK for New Year's where you have like a million different places you can go and different levels of parties and friends and family and stuff. So I was, we were dancing for a while, and then eventually her friends and her husband got up and were dancing as well. But it was mainly me dancing by myself most of the night.
Yeah.
And there was a guy who was sitting at the table kind of, I don't know, 5 or 10 feet away. So there was a table on the edge of where I was dancing, and he was sitting at the far end of that table. And he kind of started getting up as he had a few drinks. He was getting up and dancing with me and stuff like that. And I'd said to Rick in the band, I'd said, oh, I'm going to dip out before New Year's, mainly because like there were probably 30 people in there and I didn't know anyone. And I feel disingenuous to like hold hands and sing Old Lang Syne. All this, like it's for me, that's like more of a personal thing, like a friends and family thing. So I said, I'm probably going to dip out before New Year's. So I did. I kind of like snuck out about 10 minutes before ringing the bell.
Yeah.
And on my way out, this gentleman, this older guy who had kind of started dancing, stopped me and he goes, I just want to say thank you for tonight. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, I just want to say thank you because you were having so much fun the whole time and you really brought the night a lot of energy, and it made me feel really good because this time last year I was suicidal. And I'm like, oh my goodness, and if there goes my dipping out, because obviously I'm not going to walk away from this guy that's like, literally just opened up to me about that. But he was like, yeah, the people at the table, it's my brother and sister-in-law. They've come out this year to make sure I'm okay. But this is a really hard time of year for me. And I just want to say thank you because you just made it feel lighter and brought a lot of energy to the evening. And I was like, that's exactly what I'm here to do. Like, how could you go out on New Year's and not go out to have a good time? You know what I mean? Like the whole point of going out is to dance and have fun and enjoy the music. And the band was great. And I kept feeling like a bit like a numpty because I'm dancing there in front of the band, like directly in front of the band. And there's all 5 of them, and it's the only person that they can look at for any kind of energy or anything is me. So I'm just like,
but it's the energy. But actually, you've given them permission to have fun.
Yeah,
because it's always, and I'm always the first person on that dance floor, even if I am by myself, and the last person off, because it's not about me. It's inviting people to go, you know what, go and have some fun.
Yeah.
Allow it. And sometimes people just need that one person to stand up.
Yeah.
Like with change, with anything. But the impact that you have had on that guy, he'll hold that memory every New Year's now.
Oh. Well,
That's incredible, Vanessa.
my silly
Really
face
proud.
dancing. Anyway, I asked him for his phone number because I said, well, I do, do this podcast, and his story was very interesting and very touching. He's moved out here with his wife, and um, basically she left him, and he lost his community. And I think a lot of people
Shit.
do tend to rely on their spouse. If you come out as a spouse, that happens to a lot of people. So in a way, you have an easier path in that you don't have to rely on another person's energy constantly in home.
Yeah.
Because
alive,
but then you have to rely on yourself, and and like it's that whole thing, like there's nothing surer than the fact that you are alone. In real terms, you are your only person inside your head, and so you have to rely on yourself in a lot of ways. But yeah, I thought he'd be good to talk to. I thought he'd be interesting to talk to because now he is like, okay, now I'm at this point where I've got to figure out what it is I actually want, because I thought I was doing a lot of these things for her, building this house and renovating and, building a pool and doing all these things. And he's like, and then she left and now I'm kind of lost. And that was what happened to him. It happened in winter, and here in winter is such a difficult time to be on your own.
Yeah.
And to be alone with your thoughts. And so
I'd love to meet him.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. And you know what? He will be one of many that are in the same situation. A lot of people have come out as a family or as, like you say, a married couple, and somebody's left and the rug's been completely pulled from underneath them. And it's like you have a plan, but that plan might not be what you think.
Yeah.
In actual fact, it could go completely the opposite direction, and you don't have a backup plan in place, and you can feel and that's how I felt about the cars. I felt completely isolated, and it's, as a human being, that's the worst place to be, because you question everything about who you are. But it is people need people, and that connection, and people make the world go round. So the lesson here is invest highly in your community, because it will increase your happiness, your comfort, your peace. And we've got so many exciting things coming up for 2026, and we're only at the beginning. So January can be really difficult, but it's all about building 2026 gracefully and making the right choices.
Definitely.
So invest in your community, people, because it will pay you back tenfold.
Yeah.
And you'll be so much better for it. So that's my lesson.
And don't forget to indulge just slightly, a little bit, in Coppercock gin on a night.
So thank you to Lex and Linda, because actually the Coppercock gin, it sounds really bad now, but has got me through some really tough evenings, because I'm like, I need something to hit differently to carry me through tonight. And so I
well, I've been using the rum, actually, because I really like their rum. But what I've been doing is I like to make, Simon's kind of got really into the idea of having maple syrupy things. So I've been doing like maple carrots or maple bacon or whatever. But I've been like hitting it up with, because a lot of times people do like a bourbon candied sauce, but I've been doing the rum and maple syrup, and it's so good.
What?
Coppercock rum and maple syrup, and
like
making like
vegetables
for anything, basically. Bacon it's quite good with bacon.
Oh my
or lard,
God.
but carrots, anything kind of sweet-ish.
What else have I? Oh, I tried the sloe gin.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh my God, literally. So it was the Sunday that I broke down, and that night I was like, I totally remembered that I had a bottle of like sloe gin. I was like, and which I've never tried in my life, had before. And I was like, so I cracked open the bottle, and I was like, anyway, I was like, wow, this hit in a completely different way. It took me by surprise, and then I felt it in my tummy, and I was like, oh, it's like the gasoline I need right now.
So did you just drink it a little shot of it straight? Yeah, no, because like the only time I've ever had sloe gin is when we were out pheasant shooting in England. Because like I'm super Yorkshire, so we're out pheasant shooting, and you like stop, and everybody has like one little tipple of sloe, to warm you inside, and they drink it neat. It's like kind of syrupy.
Oh yeah, so I did like shots of it because I know multiple shots. Yeah, I was so cold from being like
trapped outside
that I needed something, and the coffee just wasn't going to do it. So I had like little shots of this sloe gin, and at first I was like, wow. That blew my mind. And then I was like, oh, it's settled now. So I had another one and then another couple. And I was like, that actually really helped me. Get through this moment. So thank you to Lex and the Different Coffee Cocktail and the Sloe Gin. Y'all helping me in my crisis point.
I believe the sloe berries were actually harvested from Mark's land as well. Yeah, so it's a very community driven sloe gin.
See, everywhere it always circles back. But yeah, it got me through that dark day.
Yeah.
Evening. And
well, thank you again.
Thank you again
to our sponsor partners, Coppercock Gin. Thank you to our listeners, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, episode 40.
Bye.